In the first political notebook of 2011, we are looking at the Cabinet Lekgotla and government's plan to kickstart job creation. And I've got with me Sibusiso Ngalwa from the Sunday Times. Hi, welcome.
Thank you very much, Ray.
So, the year started off basically with a whole lot of focus on getting Ibrahim Patel's growth plan into action.
That being the case, and also the government's focus on creating jobs, and as you would have heard President Zuma declaring this year as the year of job creation, on the growth part document on its own, we understand that COSATU still has reservations. They still want to raise issues. They're still not happy about this and that. But I think the approach by the government is a good one to say that, hey, in as much as we disagree in terms of what direction and what ought to be there and what needs to be taken out, we must have something. We must at least work on top of something. Let's be working towards a particular goal. But in the meantime, let's move on.
But now there's two contradictory things going on. On the one hand, you've got the statements by Mantashe from the ANC that, you know, we can't be too fussy about decent work. People need work. And on the other hand, you've got these proposals to tighten up the labor market and make it impossible to have part-time employees. They need to be given full-time status. That's going to impose a burden on companies that want to increase their staffing. How do those two play out against each other?
I think, one, starting with the issue of decent job, already we know the ANC is under pressure. We know from last year, President Jacob Zuma promised 500,000 jobs, and we still don't know how much of those jobs were made, and if we came anywhere close to that, but I doubt it. And having declared the year as that of job creation, obviously they'll be under pressure to want to create those jobs. Now, if we see now that Mantashe is trying to move away, they want to ditch the word decent from job creation. And
I think what he's talking about is let's redefine what decent means.
But I think within the alliance there's a simple understanding of what decent means, in that it's formal jobs with basic benefits. And if we then were saying then let's move away from being caught up in trying to hold on to creating decent jobs as opposed to creating jobs. So one way or the other, I think that is why COSATU is up in arms over that. On the issue of the labor laws, the bills that are out there, I mean, we saw even COSATU itself saying, hey, we are not quite happy with what we are seeing. It's not clear what these guys have in mind, and also it's just saying there's that contradiction. On the one hand, you're talking about not being caught up in holding on and trying to overemphasizing the issue of decent jobs. On the other hand, you're saying, hey, let's loosen, let's tighten the screws. So there are those contradictions.
But is this not again a case of saying different things to different constituencies?
Well, on this particular one, I think it's how President Jacob Zuma has been seen to be saying the one message to these people, going to another constituency. But the problem then becomes when it comes back to implementation, as to how do we do that. For instance, if you talk of creating 5 million jobs within the next 10, 20 years, I mean, at least the ANC Lekgotla came up with what looks like concrete plans to say this sector must create these jobs, those sectors. But the other question then becomes, do we have that capacity within government? Are we going to continue to have a government which makes these tall promises, and then when it comes to fulfilling them, and then they come to nothing?
Just go through how exactly they see these jobs being created.
Well, coming from the ANC Lekgotla last week, they identified the sectors which they think will be what they call job drivers. For instance, they're talking about, mining, agriculture sector, and then the public sector on its own, you know, and then saying that, to giving a directive to the cabinet to say, look within government, look within state-owned enterprises, and tell us how these particular sectors can create these jobs we want. then it goes back to being the responsibility of the government and the ministers concerned to ensure that their particular departments are able to roll out those jobs. But then the big question still remains, do we have that capacity, and will they be able to do that?
And you've got departments that are currently not spending their budgets anyway, now being asked to roll out. Is there any sort of effort that's being put into coordinating and making public service jobs happen?
I think first on the issue of departments not spending, we have a Department of Monitoring and Evaluation, and that question has been posed to them to say that you are meant to monitor what these guys ought to do. Are they doing that, and are you doing your job? And the response we've got, well, hey, we've just started, we've just signed these performance agreements, so give us time and let us see. But I think from the cabinet, from the minister's point of view, I think the recent reshuffle did get people a bit shaken to say that, hey, even those people who ordinarily would have been seen as untouchables, Zuma was able to say, bro, I don't think you're doing your job, or for the one reason, 1, 2, 3, can you move, please shift.
Do you think that they are perceiving this jobs issue to maybe be a really serious factor in the next general election?
Given our high unemployment rate and also dissatisfaction with a lack of jobs, I think the basic thing, in terms of delivery of services and other things, okay, people maybe have issues there, but the lack of jobs being the key one. So obviously going to the local government elections, that will be the ANC's message, which I expect them to carry through to say, this is what we have declared, this is what our government has promised, and we will deliver on this. Hence, I think there's this pressure. If you saw, January 8th statement was clear, the year of job creation. The common theme running through the ANC Lekgotla is job creation. How do we create jobs? And as we understand, even the cabinet Lekgotla, that was the directive they got from the ANC to say, discuss and tell us and come back and tell us, which we expect that President Jacob Zuma on his State of the Nation address, that will be the issue he'll be addressing, to tell us exactly how we'll be creating those jobs.
And that's all we have time for on the Political Notebook this week. Thank you, Sibusiso.
Thanks,